Good afternoon, everybody. How are you today? Won't you come my way? Come and please stay for a while, just till next May. It'll be so nice and bright and warm outside, so you and me can go and see the sights. Oh my, yeah, baby, give me a kiss, 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 kiss. Right. We got a smaller video coming your way today. This one was pretty much it was kind of an essay question. These were in A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. I've been on a crazy James Joyce kick. I finished that one and now I'm reading Ulysses, which is so awesome. I'm processing these. I don't really have the words for it right now. Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man was a weird book. It was pretty weird. Nowhere near as good as Ulysses, I will say that. Sorry, Joyce. So Stephen, James Joyce's insert character in it, is a very intelligent guy. He's a real smart cookie. He's always thinking about all these literary references and every thought that he has, and he thinks about prostitutes a lot. So, I figured I gotta get in on whatever this guy's smoking. So he had a little section where he dropped where he was like, these are the questions I ask myself. And he listed a bunch of thought questions that, he chews on and stuff. So I figured I'd take them and try to write what I think, just kind of have a day of it. So the one that I chose the other day that I wish to talk about today, the question is the portrait of Mona Lisa good if I don't desire to see it? So, Portrait of a Young Artist is very heavily early 20th century philosophy or I guess psychology? I don't know. I think in one way, the literature and ideas of the early 20th century is kind of the peak of literature. I guess I don't know what people are doing now. And if I read some things that maybe I didn't like before, after I read Ulysses and shit, maybe I'd appreciate them a lot more. But you don't see things steeped this heavily in this philosophy. It's kind of like socialism, and how no matter what you're reading in the 20th century, no matter what dude you're reading about, he'll have an opinion about socialism, which seems crazy to us now. But you're like, well, that's just what they were fucking thinking about back then. So that was a ton of these authors and philosophy guys, like Jung and Hermann Hesse, Nietzsche, Sigmund Freud, whatever. They were all so deep in this crazy philosophy about what things represent and the divisions in our brain and the archetypes of our personalities and stuff. And that's chill, but they just get so crazy boxed in, and I feel like that's where a lot of the kind of weird philosophy about women can come in. It's yeah, man, women are mysterious and beautiful and spiritual and represents things, and sex represents things and stuff, but these guys can never remember at the end of the day this prostitute or lady who's driving the character crazy and is the vile temptress or whatever. It's these guys never can just take a step back and be yeah, but she's just a lady though, you know what I mean? She's just a fucking dude for real. But the last chapter of Ulysses kind of does that. I'm excited to read the last chapter of Ulysses. But anyways, to go down all of that is kind of just to give a slight background on this difference between good and bad and what we desire. Was kind of one of these topics that these guys really latched onto and sucked all the blood out of it that they could. It kind of ties in with all these ideas of quality and objectiveness and subjectiveness, stuff like that. That's enough background. Let's read off what the old OG brain was clunking around with. Good and bad are very funny terms. Most of us know, living in our complex world, that you can generally shift your perspective and see anything as good or bad. The quality of good and bad is not consistent, though. They are a gauge of worth, feeling, and impression, a signifier of the mood we've arrived at. digesting whatever it is we're digesting, processing. Nothing is 5. There is not 5 out there, but there are often 5 of something. You know, good and bad are not things, or something is not intrinsically good or bad, but they are indicators we give objects, people, places, works of art. And what we may find to be one or the other can just as easily be seen another way by somebody else or another society centuries down the road. We base these on shared cultural values and similarities. Of course, we can go deeper than cultural judgments, as we are filled with personal judgments. But I think when we get to our purely individual and internal judgment system, we start to cross to desire. So, before we can go to there, we got to loop back real quick and see already that the Mona Lisa has been agreed upon culturally to be good, to embody and symbolize certain qualities and values, regardless of any individual desire to see her. Now, at the start of her life, and probably what propelled her to be culturally dominant, or I guess just as famous as she got to, it was probably something akin to desire. We peasants of the 21st and 20th century, in Joyce's case, do not need desire for Mona Lisa for her to gain respect. She has no use for us. She has seduced the important men she had to. For when we weigh these objects internally, instead of logically or emotionally, but still communally, with a group of fellow men and women, we are assailed by an infinity of various unknowable factors. Obviously, in the group, we go through the same process, but our brothers and sisters force an additional filter of thought, a seriousness, a mission outside of oneself. I think this mission outside of ourselves has defined quite a bit. I'm going off script a little bit, but the mission really has defined quite a lot of which art has been elevated and what hasn't, you know? Because even forgetting good and bad, it's like which pieces are the most famous, you know? It's religious ones or portraits of famous, powerful people and stuff, you know? It's all a perspective and it's all a story that they're choosing to elevate, keep things going forward. So I think that the external mission has to be remembered, especially when you're thinking about things of cultural value, you know? It's like, is the Mona Lisa good if I don't desire to see it? I don't know, but it was good to some people because they desired to push certain narratives. Who knows? Whatever. But how we decide if we alone think how the quality of something is, one of our first and most basic questions our body asks itself is, am I attracted or repelled by this thing? But desire is not just base attraction. Desire is the unknowably animal part in us, the Dionysian, if you will. And many times what we desire is what we would often, in other contexts, call bad. You know what I'm saying? Desire is one of the most confounding aspects of humans, but there is something inherently rebellious and individualistic in it. We are all the most powerful creatures on the planet, each and every one of us. And the willpower to bang, to shag, to freak on, whatever we want is powerfully human. But the morality of sex has been a debated topic for years, you know? Sure, it makes us human to seek out what pleases us, no matter how strange it is. But does that mean it's a good thing if I want to sniff some toes? I don't know. It's in there, though. For the Mona Lisa, the morality of desire for her did not matter to her one bit, you know? This might be a bit rough, but this was the thought process I was on about her. If in 1500s Italy, Renaissance, Venice, or whatever, Mona was the peak type among men, would it be sexual baiting? Even if, you know, she's extremely modestly dressed by our standards? Like, you know, it's a beautiful painting, and I'm not saying that, but, you know, like, what if there was some trend at the time, like Leonardo da Vinci, just hearing all these guys be like, in every bar, be like, the big black-haired woman with a dress on. Mwah. You know, that probably was happening. And then he went home or whatever, and he looked at Mona, and he saw all the dudes in the street going like, and Leonardo da Vinci's like, oh my god, I just had an idea. Yo. You know, would that be morally questionable? Even if today nobody would think, looking at her, like, damn, this was a thirst trap, bro. You know, what if Mona Lisa's a thirst trap? Is it ethically wrong? There is no doubt that men have been attracted and even fallen in love with the Mona Lisa. And unlike real woman, desire for Mona Lisa can give no gratification, at least physically. I don't know what I'm on about here. You could still get gratified physically by loving the Mona Lisa, I'm not gonna lie. And as an object, Mona has no license or choice over her image, or say, or sway on men. So it could be good for the painting, Da Vinci, even the world, that they used desire to entice, but bad for the men who were enticed, for they have now a confusing connection with an inanimate object. But then wouldn't that be bad on Da Vinci for baiting the inanimate object? Well, people will always desire what they will, and if you try to stop it, will only pull them stronger. Some things are like magnets in this world, destined to fall together. And oftentimes I think sex is like that. Desire is the motivator to get us to our fatefully ordained connections. So where does desire for the painting fit in? You know, it really depends on your view of art, I feel like. So we answered the question, is the painting good if I don't desire to see it? Yes, we can say that good is a communal term. When we're communicating something is good, we are generally acknowledging that it's good on a level outside of ourselves. Like if I was super into Play-Doh in the ears and watching videos of it, even if I loved it, I probably wouldn't recommend my friends to go watch videos of people putting Play-Doh in their ears. Because I know that's for me. You know, I know that's for my dog, my number one. For me. They're not on that. They're not on that business. So, yes, for our cultural context, the Mona Lisa is good. It has cultural value and agreed upon significance and beauty. You're free to your opinion, but do not spite the word of your fellow brethren. At that point, you're just contrarian. You know, even if you truly think that the Mona Lisa is a piece of dog shit, it just doesn't matter. You're just a whiny loser who can't get a painting in the loo. You're just whining about the Mona Lisa because it's awesome. I don't even particularly like the Mona Lisa, but I think the slightly questioning expression is just so Chad. Like, that's the fucking most famous painting in the world. She's so sly. She's so slick. But is it good? Is my desire good if I do desire to see it? God, who knows? I don't think desire is good or bad at the end of the day. That's all I wrote. But thinking through what I was saying at that time, you know, even when I was talking about it being potentially bad to have the desire to see a painting, I don't think I agree with what I wrote. It's not. I don't think it's bad to desire anything. Should we not make idolatrous art to distract us from reality, to supersede the image of real life in our minds? I don't know. I mean, it's a little late for that. It's been like a millennia of making fucking art. I think we need new morals as a society. Conclusion. And getting rid of the Mona Lisa would be step one. You know what I'm saying? Drop a like if you think we should smash that Mona Lisa. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?